Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ringside Cinema. I am Money Mike, and it is time for the Royal Rumble, the start of WrestleMania season. We are going to find out who is going to go to WrestleMania 41 and main event. Now, we're also going to find out which surprises are going to be in store for the Rumble matches. And just before we get into all of that, make sure you do hit that like and subscribe button and join me as I will be live streaming the Royal Rumble starting at 5 o'clock, as we have a lot to go over with 2 Rumble matches, a ladder match, and a 2 out of 3 falls classic that if you haven't checked it out already, you can check out my predictions here. And I do look forward to seeing you on the live stream for the Royal Rumble. Alright, I have 2 honorable mentions here before we get to the list. 1 for each Royal Rumble. Number 1, let's start with the men's, Big E. Now, I didn't want to put him on the list because I'm not as confident as some of the other surprises that may happen, because obviously we know Big E may not be able to wrestle again. But could you imagine the pop if you have the New Day in the ring and Big E's music hits and Big E eliminates Kofi and Xavier? And for the women's Royal Rumble, honestly, if Rhea Ripley was not the champion, I would have put Rhea Ripley on the list to appear in the men's Royal Rumble, which is why I want to put Dominic Mysterio as an honorable mention to enter the women's Royal Rumble. And I'll tell you why. WWE 2K25 has a new feature of intergender wrestling. You have men and women fight each other. They have intergender belts. I will talk about 2K25 on Sunday. I'll talk about their showcase mode. So make sure you do tune in for that if you are planning on buying the game. And what way, and they have shown, one of the pictures shown is Rhea Ripley versus Dominic Mysterio. So Dominic could easily enter the women's Royal Rumble. Maybe he ends up costing Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. He gets them eliminated by accident. Or maybe Dominic goes in there and then he gets quickly eliminated by somebody else. Either way, I think it might be a possibility of Dominic entering the women's Royal Rumble just so they can sell the 2K25 new feature of intergender wrestling. This person has been in the news lately in regards to her contract, and I'm talking about Alexa Bliss. It was reported that she was going to return on the first episode of Raw on Netflix. There was reports of a rumored storyline with the Wyatt Six, and then now there's all these reports about a contract dispute. And I just remember before CM Punk came back, there was all this stuff about how, he's not going to sign with the WWE, and then voila, he showed up at Survivor Series. So could this be a diversion tactic to surprise the fans? Jordynne Grace, who is officially signed with the WWE, Nick Khan actually spoiled that. And yeah, so she left TNA. She's coming to WWE. I fully expect her to be in the Royal Rumble. And honestly, would it surprise me if it's somehow revealed that Jordynne Grace took out Jade Cargill? No, not really. But it would be a great way to introduce her onto the main roster, as I think she kind of had a run on NXT already. So I think putting her on the main roster would be the best way, and to introduce her as potentially Jade's attack her would bring her into a really prominent storyline right off the bat. Let's keep it going here with the TNA Knockouts Women's Champion. She was shown on NXT. Something tells me that she's probably going to show up in the Rumble, probably have a confrontation with Jordynne Grace. I think we're going to see a lot of TNA in these Rumble matches. And as we see the partnership between WWE and TNA grow, it would not surprise me if it does reach the main roster at some point this year. Next up, we have, of course, Becky Lynch, who everyone does expect to return. She was supposed to have returned back on the first Raw on Netflix, but they held off on her return. So obviously, I think they're going to have her show up here. And what she does for WrestleMania, who knows? But it will be good to see Becky Lynch back. And there's one match I do want to see Becky Lynch have with another surprise return, which I'll get to in a little bit. Next up, Mickie James. She started this whole thing with TNA WWE. She came in as the TNA Knockouts Women's Champion a couple years ago. Now she's back with the WWE. She's going to be doing a show with the WWE. And obviously, she's the wife of SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis. So I do expect if she does return in some form that it would be on SmackDown. Everyone's been saying Julia, Stephanie, Roxanne, Cora Jade. I'm going to give you a name from NXT that you may not expect to be in the Royal Rumble, but there's logic to it, and that's Tatum Paxley. Obviously, WWE does see a lot of value in her as they have included her in this whole NXT TNA partnership. She's been on TNA, and we know the history between Tatum and Lyra Valkyria, who is the Women's Intercontinental Champion. So there could be a moment during the Royal Rumble where Tatum and Lyra kind of reunite. While I will talk about a NBA player in a minute when I talk about the Men's Rumble, let's talk about the WNBA and a certain Caitlin Clark. Look, am I reaching for this one? Possibly, but she does play for the Indiana Fever. She is a big name, and it would bring a lot of attention to the WWE if she shows up in the Women's Royal Rumble. If you've been watching Raw lately, they've been hammering down all the celebrities that are on the show. It's a bit overdone if you ask me. Why not continue this with Caitlin Clark showing up in the Women's Royal Rumble? Obviously, I'm going to go with everyone's favorite speculation of a surprise return, AJ Lee. Look, maybe CM Punk was hinting at this, that it's going to happen. Maybe, maybe not. But he was asked who he wanted to see in the Rumble, and he said he couldn't say because he would get in trouble. Well, I mean, take that for what it's worth. But we have not seen AJ Lee in a very long time, and I do think it's time we do see AJ Lee return, even if it is just for the Royal Rumble. And she could have a moment with Bayley. She could have a moment with Becky, Charlotte, whoever. And, you know, even Cora Jade, even Roxanne, who CM Punk had done promos with in NXT. So, yeah, AJ Lee for the Women's Royal Rumble, please. And moving on to the Men's Royal Rumble, let's start with the obvious. Randy Orton. I don't expect him to, as I said in my predictions video, I don't expect Randy Orton to get involved in the Kevin Owens-Cody match. I think Kevin Owens is going to lose, and then Owens is going to take out his frustrations on Sami Zayn in the Rumble. And then after he eliminates Sami Zayn, that's when Randy Orton music will hit, and Randy will come out as an official entrant in the Rumble. And after watching SmackDown, I think it's safe to say Tyrese Halliburton of the Indiana Pacers is going to be in the Men's Royal Rumble. He had a confrontation with Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes says, hey, unlike you, I don't miss. I feel like that is going to give way to where we're going to get a spot in the Rumble between the two, Carmelo and Tyrese. And then maybe Carmelo tries to run away or something. And then the next surprise entrant, Trick Williams, appears. Because I do think if Trick Williams does show up in the men's Royal Rumble, I think it could lead to, or at least begin his main roster debuts. I think they still kind of want to run back with Trick and Oba one-on-one for the NXT Championship. But yeah, obviously I think a Trick and Carmelo spot in the Royal Rumble makes a lot of sense. And let's head back to TNA as we look at one half of the TNA Tag Team Champions, that being Jeff Hardy. Listen, it'd be cool if Matt Hardy showed up, but there's the WWE roster right now is so huge that they don't really need surprises. And if you're going to have one of the Hardys in the Rumble, it's going to be Jeff. He's always kind of been the more popular one amongst the fans with between the Hardys. So I think that gives you more of the pop that the WWE is looking for and that the Rumble has come to be known for. You say his name and he appears. Joe Hendry will be in the Royal Rumble with a spot with John Cena. Joe Hendry has said he wants to face John Cena. I don't know if that will actually happen or not, but Joe Hendry and John Cena can at least do a spot in the Royal Rumble together. I think that's probably as far as it's going to go. But yeah, Joe Hendry, TNA World Champion, he's going to be in the Royal Rumble. Now, if the Royal Rumble, which does tend to be a little bit chaotic, gets out of hand, we may need a director of an authority to make sure the Rumble gets back on track. And I'm talking TNA Director of Authority, Santino Marella. Santino has not been in WWE for a long time, and I think fans would pop for Santino's music, for his WWE music to play. And as part of this whole TNA partnership, as I said, I do think it's going to grow this year, and it's going to hit the main roster. So I think Santino could be a good choice for a nostalgia pop. And also, beware of the Cobra. And last but not least, the return that is, I think, to a lot of fans, is way overdue is Matt Cardona. I think Matt Cardona makes his long-awaited WWE return, not as Zack Ryder, as Matt Cardona. As we have seen, the WWE is bringing people back under their gimmicks that they've had elsewhere. We've seen the former Ty Dillinger return to the WWE as Shawn Spears, which is what he was known as in AEW. Ethan Page, he has his name. Jade Cargill, she has her name that she used in AEW. So we're going to see Matt Cardona, not Zack Ryder, return in the men's Royal Rumble. And that is the list, ladies and gentlemen. Again, who do you want to see in this year's Royal Rumble matches as surprises? Leave a comment below and make sure again to join me for my live stream of the Royal Rumble, and we will find out together who will go to WrestleMania. I've been your host, Money Mike, and you've been watching Ringside Cinema.
Ringside Cinema, legends at the core. Tune in, feel the rush. Wrestling meets the screen. Ringside Cinema, living out the dream. Living out the dream. Living out the dream. Lights down, time to go. Cheers for heroes we know. Ring inside forever. Oh, wrestling.